And in one line also, I can declare multiple arrays in a single statement. Like if I say string array with those square brackets, and I say a is equal to new string 100. So it's I declare a as an array, and I also said its size. I also created with a size of 100. Then I say b with a comma. I say b is equal to new string 20. So in one line, I created two string arrays. One of them has 100 size, and the other one has the size of 20. So that's also possible. And well, arrays can be used in many ways. Like they can be attributes, so I can use them as an attribute in an object. Like for a student, for instance, maybe he has taken many courses, and for each course he has grades. So I might want to put grades, arrays of grades. Or maybe in a class, I define a class object, and in a class object I need an array of students. So I can create a student object as an attribute for a class object, for a classroom object. It can be a local variable. So in a function, like get the salary of employees, and I want to keep them in an array. So this is also possible. We can give them as a parameter to functions, like as we do also in main function. This args is actually a string array. What is this? Do you know? Do you have an idea? What is the string array args in our main function?
We're taking the code as strings and passing them. They are the arguments.
The arguments for our program when we run it. So when we compile our program, and then once we run it, maybe we want to give an argument once it started. So we provide those by this args function. Even in Eclipse, let me show it actually. If you go to Eclipse, if you go to run configurations, and then here are arguments, and then here are program arguments. So you can give any argument that you would like to give to your program here, and then you can access them through these args parameter. So anyway, so arrays can be parameters, and arrays can be as a return value. So a function can return also arrays. Like I would like to get the names of students in a class, so it should be an array. So maybe a string array can be also used as a return value. Yes.
If we set an array as a class attribute, will we also set the size of it as we set it as an attribute?
That's a perfect question. So let's do it here. So we said that, okay, we have this student class, and then I want to, let's say that we will keep the grades. In the board it was saying float array, let's say, and then it will be, I don't know, grades. So what I can do is there are multiple ways to do it. I don't have to, so I just declared it. But where should I initialize it, create it? Well, most likely it is in the constructor. I should say, okay, this will be a grades function. But here is the challenge. Since it is an array, now I need to give a size. I cannot leave it empty. So this is a challenge that what this number should be. So
if it's too big and I only have like 2 values.
So there are many things that you can do. First, you can assign, okay, this will be 10, and whenever it exceeds 10, I will recreate it and then copy paste it. This is one possible. Or maybe in your constructor function, maybe you'll give that number, like the number of grades that that the students has, and then you will put it here. Yeah, but we need that information. This is a challenge for us to do it. Or it's also possible that, like, if you really know that number, or if you just need to create it, you can also do it here. We can just say that, okay, this will be a float array, of course, but again, we need the size. I'm just now making that 10, but I don't know why it is 10. But we need some number there. But that's also possible. Shall I proceed? So here are some methods that there are actually common methods that we frequently implement. first, initializing array. So when I'm talking about array, so I need multiple values. In many cases, maybe I need to fill it with some values. So it's common way to define methods for it. So basically, init array stands for initialize array. It takes a size because we need to know the size of an array before when we create it, and what we want to put as a default value. And then within that, we create our array. Int array is an int with the size. Size is the parameter that we have. And then arrays have this attribute length. So it basically gives us what is the size of this array. So through this for loop, we say that, okay, from I is equal to 0 until go to array.length, so the size of the array. At each iteration, we increment it by 1. And then we put this init value, which is our parameter again here, to every item in that array. So we fill this array. We create this array, and then we fill this array with this value, and then eventually we return it. I think Python has some similar function, right? Like, do you know ones function in Python? It basically fills an array with all ones. There's a zeros function. It all fills the array with all zeros. So this is a common method that sometimes we need a default value for an array, and then we define a function to that because we don't want to rewrite this for loop and so on and so again and again. And here are some use case scenarios. Like we create a string array in which we keep those car brands, Volvo, BMW, Ford, and Mazda. And then to access the first item, we need square brackets and then 0, which will give us the Volvo. Or we say that cars.length, so it will display 4. Why? Because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 items. So basically, it shows the size of an array. Arrays are objects. So now this part might be tricky. So when I say, okay, integer array A is 1, 2, 3. So it's an array with size of 3 items. And then I want to create a copy of it. Okay? So that's why I say that, okay, integer array B. And then I just say B is equal to A. When I do this, what happened? Did I really take a clone of it? No, I just said that, okay, A was referring, like if I say A is equal to 1, 2, 3, I said, okay, here is 1 in my memory, here is 2, and here is 3. And then A is just giving a reference to the start point of it. And then I just said B is A, which means that B is also referencing to the same location. So I didn't make a clone of array A. I just made a clone of a copy of that reference. So why is that important? Well, if you go to our code now, just to make some experiment with that. Okay, I have already some code here. All right. Let me zoom in. Yeah. Let's say that we have this integer array. A is equal to 1, 2, 3. Oops, sorry. And yeah. And then we have this integer, again, array B. If I just say A, okay, what happens will be is that when I print A and when I print B, sorry, that would look so weird. This is because this is the memory reference point. Yeah, this was expected. It should still not work. In order to print an array, yeah, we need for easiness, we usually need a for loop, but for now I will just print, since we have only 3 items, I will just print all of them in one shot, in one print message. So the first item, second item, and last item. I will do the same thing for this. And then let's just see the code, what it will happen. So the output is same for all. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then when I change the value of one of it, like let's say that, okay, A0 will be 4, okay? So I just change the A0. Then I will print array B again. So I change A0, but I'm printing B. And then, as you can see that the last one is 420, 423. So B is affected. So I didn't take a copy of it. This is the main part. So I didn't take a copy of A and keep it in a B. They are still the same data in my memory. This is the challenge. So we have to do, how can we do it? By using a loop, yes. If I really want to make a copy of it as a different object, I should definitely say first new int. When I say that I guarantee that now B is referencing to a different location in the memory. So maybe A is referencing to here and B is there. Then in a for loop, now this code will not be very meaningful. So first I need to do it here. In a for loop now, maybe from I to 0, I is less than a dot length, and then here I will say, okay, bi is equal to ai. If I do this, okay. Oh yeah. Thank you for this careful eyes. That's helpful. So now let's run it. Now you can see the first two results, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 for these two cases. And the other one is also 1, 2, 3 because we changed A, not B. So if you put A also here, and if we print A also here, then the result will be now for A will be different, B will be different. Now A is here, it is 4, 2, 3, but A is 1, 2, 3. So now they are literally different objects in the memory. So if I change A, B will not be affected. And shall I proceed? All right. All right. Again, since they're objects, when I said, okay, A is equal to 1, 2, 3, B is equal to also 1, 2, 3, but they will be considered as different objects. So if I say, is A equal to B, the result would be false, because when I say double equal sign, it basically compares their memory locations, and they are different, so the result will be false. So their values are same, yes, but they are kept in different locations in the memory, and this is what we are doing. Therefore, the result of this will be false. If you want to know are these two arrays same, okay, well, we might, of course, there are multiple solutions for that, but let's say that we want to create a function for that. So basically, it takes two integer arrays, and then compare whether they are equal or not. So first, what we do is we check, is one of them null? So is array 1 null, or array 2 is a null? Then just return false. So if they are null, I cannot say that they are same, because one of them does not exist. At least one of them does not exist. So I cannot compare whether they are same or not. If they are not null, then I can just proceed. Okay? So that now here I know that none of them is null. So that's why I can safely say that array 1.length. Because if one of them was null, I would get a runtime error. My program would crash. But this part saves me from that runtime error. So array 1.length. So are they size are same first? Because if their size are different, there's no way that they will be same. So if their size are different, then I'll just say false. Then when I come here, okay, now I know that their sizes are same, They are not null, their sizes are same. Now I need to check their content. Are they really same or not? So from in one for loop, starting from 0 to the end of the one of the arrays, at each iteration I compare, is array 1 index I, is it equal, is it not equal to array 2 index I? So are they same? If they are not, okay, one difference will be enough for me. Like if I have 1, 2, 3, other one is 1, 4, 3, they're not same. So once I found a difference, I can immediately return false. Then I said, okay, they're not same. I don't need to go over the rest, so I can return false. But if all of them are same, which means that I will never go into this if loop, if statement, sorry. So I ended this for loop without returning any value. Then this will end, which means that they are not null, they are their size is same, and also all the values inside them are same, which means that they are equal, so I can return true.
Doctor, you can only compare them with not equal, but
Excuse me?
before you said that if you put double equal sign, it will compare their memories.
Yes.
Yes, but now it won't compare their memories with not equal to.
That is a perfect question. Since they are integer array, okay, since they are an integer array, I know that I can compare integers. So array 1 and index I gives me an integer, a raw data type, so that I can compare it with those numbers. But the answer might be different if this was like a student array, okay? Then yes, then I understand your question, and that perfectly makes sense. Then yeah, we should go with this equals method to do that. But since this is an array of a raw data type, we can use safely. You can use this. Okay, we have 4 minutes. As an exercise, when you are studying this topic, okay, please try to write this function without looking at this function. Because it contains a bit of algorithmic decisions. And of course, this is not the only solution, by the way. You can come up with different things, of course, but this might be maybe the cleanest one. Like, you don't need to compare their lengths first. Like, it just gives us some speed so that we don't need to deal with it. But also it brings us some clarity for us, because in the other one, we also first need to know which one has a higher element or so that would be challenging to go over an iteration. So please practice this question without looking at the result immediately. I think it would be pretty useful. Okay, I have 3 minutes. I can finish this statement, and then I think this slide, and I think we can go. Well, we talk about this for loop in which we have these 3 cases: starting point, our condition, and then how will we update at each iteration. There's also another for loop in Java which is similar to what we have in Python. We call it for each loop. This is called for each loop. But actually, we are not writing for each here. We just use the same keyword for, but the notation is different inside that. We have this variable or data type, then an item variable name, and then double column, and then our array name. And then we do the statement. So what does it mean is we use this only for these iteratable lists, like arrays or array lists. So what happens is if we have this kind of an string array, like Volvo, BMW, Ford, Mazda, we give it those strings. Then we say for each string car item in cars list, do this action. So what it does is that it will, at each iteration, it will pick one of those items in that array and run it accordingly, and that item will be kept in this car variable. So basically it will print all the items in that list and print all 4 of them. And it doesn't require any counter to say, okay, this is the first item, this is the second item. We are not dealing with the index values, like so for that one we don't need it. So this is the handy part of it. But of course, if you need index of the array of the list, then we need to go with this for loop. Otherwise, this is also a handy way of iterating items or in a list. All right, it's 4:49. I will stop here. Thank you for your attendance.